European officials have grown increasingly worried over the US-brokered peace deal in Ukraine, fearing it might undermine long-term stability on the continent amid ongoing tensions. Europe fears Trump's peace plan could smuggle in a hidden Russian advantage in Donbas, according to a detailed report from Bloomberg that highlights these strategic vulnerabilities. Europe specifically fears that a Donbas demilitarized zone could become cover for a future reinvasion by Moscow, allowing Russian forces to regroup and strike without immediate detection. The US plan envisaged a demilitarized strip in war-battered eastern Donbas, intended as a buffer but now viewed skeptically by allies as potentially exploitable. European officials say Russia could infiltrate the zone with covert forces and proxies, slipping in operatives under the guise of peace to build a hidden staging ground for aggression. The Kremlin could then use hybrid tactics and false flags to undermine US guarantees, staging provocations that erode trust in the agreement and justify further encroachments. The White House did not immediately comment on Europe's growing security concerns, leaving allies to voice their apprehensions without official reassurance from Washington. Western intel warns Putin has not budged at all. His goals in Ukraine remain maximalist and unchanged, showing no genuine shift toward compromise despite diplomatic overtures. Another risk is that Russia could meddle in any post-deal referendum or election, as per recent reports warning of interference that could sway outcomes in Moscow's favor. The Kremlin could manipulate votes to lock in territorial gains or justify new moves, rigging the process to entrench control over disputed areas long-term. As per former UK Security Chief Peter Ricketts, Europe is right to distrust Moscow's intentions, given Russia's track record of deception and expansionist ambitions in the region. Here's what he has to say, and I quote, "Europeans were right to be concerned by the US proposal for a demilitarized zone. Once US attention drifted elsewhere, Putin could create incidents as pretexts such as protecting Russian speakers to move in. This would leave the rest of Ukraine vulnerable to the next Russian advance. So this is not just a technical point, but a fundamental issue for Ukraine and for European security." Nearly 4 years into the war, control of the Donbas region sat at the heart of talks, with both sides digging in over this industrial powerhouse and symbolic battleground. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said the US floated turning Donbas into a free economic zone, aiming to revive the area's economy while sidestepping full territorial concessions. Zelensky even said the region could be put under special administration framework, offering a compromise that balances autonomy with Kiev's sovereignty claims. Russia instead pushed for a classic demilitarized zone label for Donbas, rejecting economic incentives in favor of a security arrangement that suits its military objectives. Zelensky even floated a referendum on possible territorial options for Donbas, testing public will but risking Russian exploitation of the vote. NATO chief Mark Rutte warned Russia would come for Europe if not stopped in Ukraine, stressing that failure to hold the line now invites broader continental threats.
We are Russia's next target. And we are already in harm's way. When I became NATO Secretary General last year, I warned that what is happening in Ukraine could happen to allied countries too. That we had to shift to a wartime mindset. I fear that too many are quietly complacent. Too many don't feel the urgency. And too many believe that time is on our side. It is not. The time for action is now. And how is Putin able to continue his war against Ukraine? The answer is China. China is Russia's lifeline. China wants to prevent its ally from losing in Ukraine. Without China's support, Russia could not continue to wage this war. President Trump wants to end the bloodshed now. And he is the only one who can get Putin to the negotiating table. So let's put Putin to the test. Let's see if he really wants peace, or if he prefers the slaughter to continue. We need to be ready, because at the end of this first quarter of the 21st century, conflicts are no longer fought at arm's length. Conflict is at our door. Russia has brought war back to Europe. And we must be prepared for the scale of war our grandparents and great-grandparents endured.
Russia demanded Ukrainian withdrawals from Donetsk and Luhansk, even areas it didn't hold, pressing for gains beyond current front lines to cement dominance. Kiev refused to cede land and insisted it would not legalize Russian gains, standing firm against any deal that rewards invasion with permanent territorial rewards. Details of the emerging peace plan remained in flux among DC, Kiev, and Moscow, with negotiations bouncing between capitals amid mutual suspicions and red lines. Ukraine repeatedly rejected territorial concessions and demanded hard security guarantees, unwilling to trade land for vague promises of future protection. Kiev sought guarantees similar to NATO's Article 5 Mutual Defense Clause, craving ironclad commitments from the West to deter renewed Russian aggression. Zelensky said his top priority was to know what the West would do if Russia struck again, emphasizing the need for clarity on backup plans before signing off on any accord.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that we will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest newsmakers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry guards.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.